Okay, we're back, we're live. It must be Wednesday. Okay, and we're doing Hawaii, the state of energy. We do energy all over Wednesday, and it's good. It's a good thing to do. Let's celebrate Wednesday with energy. And we have special guests. We have William Lee. He's the CEO of Solar Motion Corporation. And that, for your interest, is solar-motioncorporation.com.
Correct.
Okay. And we have Beatriz Rodriguez. She is associated with Solar Motion Corporation, but she is also a scientist at UH Manoa and a professor and at the medical school at JABSOM, John A. Burns School of Medicine. So we have very well qualified scientific people here at the table here at Hawaii State of Energy. And today we're going to talk about a new technology that is catching our eye. This is a new hybrid technology for solar energy. Okay. And those flashy documents on the table will define exactly what Bill Lee is doing, and they are patents. And if Bill, if you would hold them up, everybody can see what a patent looks like. Whoa, fabulous. See that red ribbon over there? They've been doing that for, 150 years anyway.
They're quite nice. I'm very proud of them.
What are they now that we have them?
Just to separate church from state, we are solar cells that are in motion, as opposed to the solar cells that you would see flat on a rooftop that do a marvelous job and will sit there till the end of time producing energy. All of the solar systems that we deal with are actually spinning at high RPMs on bike wheels, on car wheels, on segways, on skateboards, on just anything you can mention, from wheelchairs to robots in space to actually airplanes. Remember, we've got a guy landing in a week or two in a solar airplane. So we put power on agendas that move through the city streets and around the neighborhoods, and hopefully, even pushing your garbage can out to the street now can be solar powered. The wheels have in-hub motors, and those in-hub motors then provide power internally, and this could be used on an electric car, which we're hoping for. We've already built bicycles, we've built skateboards, we've built wheelchairs. We see tremendous hope for this.
We've talked many times in the show about the possibility of having a flat-roofed vehicle where you put solar on the roof, and assuming good efficiency, it actually helps top off the battery and keeps it going. No? This is within your ambit, eh?
I would think that the FedEx trucks and the UPS trucks would be perfect candidates for this kind of thing. They're very lightweight. We're actually at the wheel, at the source. So there's a DC brushless motor that would have a sort of a disco ball solar cell array on each side of the wheel. Think of a translucent hub on a car, see right through, and on all the wheels we would have those solar cells. This would be true on a bicycle. Some guys this week have come up with a beautiful bicycle out of Denmark. Full wheels of solar cell, front and back, and it's powered by just the sun.
Okay, so what are the three patents about?
Well, the first patent is a vertical axis wind turbine patent. And what we do is we put the solar cells up on the top like an umbrella.
Can we get in closer on that?
And
wait, somebody will come in on you.
And the solar cells are up on top. A normal looking wind turbine below it of any nature. So it can be an aftermarket product, or it can be...
Hold it in front of the seat, in front of the screen. I'd like to get the picture, because a picture is worth 1,000 patents, Okay, there it is.
And
okay, it's not as great, but at least you know there's a picture there on the second page of the patent.
So there's a combination of sun and there's a combination of wind. In theory, wind turbines blow 1/3 of the time, so you're missing 2/3 of the day or 2/3 of the year. The addition of a solar umbrella on top eliminates the cut-in speed, and it also gets this guy to be capable of blowing all night long, because we have lithium batteries underneath what we call our golden dome. And that golden dome is up on top, protects all the electronics.
That's on this device, in this patent.
This is on.
How big is that device? Could it be
scalable.
any size?
Could be any size. Could be a kilowatt, 10 kilowatts, 50 kilowatts.
Okay.
And the secondary patent that we've been granted is on a horizontal wind turbine. Now, a horizontal wind turbine differs from a vertical wind turbine. This is what a wind turbine looks like when you're out in the country in Kahuku. You know, the blades are spinning this way.
Yeah.
A vertical axis wind turbine, the blades are
That's the
spinning
first one.
this one. Yeah, yeah. This is a horizontal. And
Where's the solar device?
right out in front, like a semi-disco ball in the front. These are actually outside peripheral gearings, which I put on all the wind turbines so that we could interconnect groups of them along the line. If you wanted to scale it down and make it rooftop friendly, you could put 50 of these guys 2 feet tall, you know, like you stack a group of Marshall amplifiers for a band. You can stack these wind turbines as well. And the third patent that we have is for, these are all granted, by the way. This is for wheels on bikes or cars or whatever. The solar cells are on the outside, the motor's on the inside, and then this goes to the car. The differential on all of these is that the shaft of the motor is frozen. Normally a motor has a shaft that spins. We freeze the shaft, have the solar cells and the rest of the motor spinning in a circle on the inside and the outside.
No gears necessary?
No gears necessary.
Wow, that's a lot of torque.
And it'll beat anything up and down a hill or on a NASCAR track. You won't get that gentleman start your engines and everybody's kidney shakes, but you know, you'll get a nice quiet ride that will take on anything.
We're going to take a short break, Bill.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after the short break, and we're talking to Bill Lee and Beatriz Rodriguez about the new hybrid technology for solar energy. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen. I host Likeable Science on ThinkTech Hawaii, and I do this because I care about science literacy in Hawaii. I want to spread the understanding that science is a vital and interesting part of everyone's life. I want to make sure the broadest possible spectrum of people understand the beauty and the value of science and realize that science plays out each and every day of their lives. I want you to understand that science is fun. So we bring onto this show each week guests who are scientists, from astronomers to zoologists, and we talk about what they do and how they do it. But most importantly, we talk about why you should care about their work, why you should see that their work has value and impact on your life. So I hope you'll join us Fridays, 1 p.m. here on ThinkTech Hawaii. You can watch us via live stream. You can watch us recorded on Olelo, and you can see us each week. We hope you'll join us.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island in the ER position. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the ThinkTech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues. Hawaii has long been the health state, but we need to keep up the momentum, the inertia, and with your help and with your participation, we can come and share all of the big issues that are pressing day to day. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday, alternating weeks from 2 to 2:45.
Okay, we're back. We're live. I'm Jay Fidel here on Hawaii, the state of clean energy. And it's Wednesday, of course. We're talking about new hybrid technology for solar energy in a company called solar-motioncorporation.com, solar-motioncorporation.com, with Bill Lee and Beatriz Rodriguez. So let me just ask you, Beatriz, how much of what Bill said in our first segment do you agree with?
I fully agree with all of these ideas. I mean, I think it's an amazing way to make use of the findings that we have in terms of solar energy and the ability to be able to combine it with, let's say, the wind turbines, or being able to use them on bicycles. I mean, I think that in terms of the possible use of these at a world scale, it's incredible. I mean, there are so many places in Latin America, in Africa, in India, when they don't have energy at all, and where some of these devices could provide all the energy that they need to be able to, you know, power their homes and to power their businesses and so on. And, you know, at some point, we may be able to even have one of these here in America that are providing the electricity for the homes. I mean, I think that the idea of having these wind turbines with the solar cells adding to that
Okay, but you know,
capability
solar
would be
cells, you know, we've
wonderful.
talked about solar cells for a long time. We have them, and we know that they don't get more efficient in great leaps. They get more efficient in little steps, you know. It's like nobody comes and says, oh, I got a new solar cell, it'll knock your socks off. no, it's like it was last year, but a little more efficient every year.
Yeah, but
That kind of
the
thing.
co-
This is
it
a
is a
hybrid
combination.
system.
It is a
where you're
combination.
combining wind and solar, and.
But now I'm asking, what about these solar cells? I mean, can I get them at Long's Drug Store? Where do
Unfortunately,
need
I
to-
buy mine at Radio Shack for 25 bucks a copy.
Is that right? No, no.
So for me to make my solar equipment here in Hawaii is very expensive. They should be less than 50 cents from China. But unfortunately, I'm paying hundreds of dollars for each one of these units that I make.
Radio Shack needs
It'll
the
come,
money.
it'll come way down, yeah. But,
Are you serious, Radio Shack?
yeah, that's where I bought my solar
So
cells.
can you tell us the specs of these solar cells that you're getting?
I'm using truthfully, a 1 watt solar cell, sometimes as little as 2 watts of solar cells on my solar dome to spin a 500 watt turbine. We just built one in India that was a kilowatt. We used 40 watts of solar cells on the dome that brings in a kickstart at 0 miles an hour, and then ultimately also adds power at nighttime, because underneath the dome, it's just a hollow space. You have a DC brushless motor, but the rest of it's just battery room. And when the wind turbine itself is being moved 1/3 of the time by the wind, then that additional power can be brought in from the sun to charge batteries. Excuse me. One of the things about incremental power that the grid hates, or the utilities hate, is that it creates a buffer zone, a spiking into the grid. And they're trying to make grids, have some insulation factor. So all the wind doesn't come at one time and all the sun
Sure.
doesn't come at
So
one time.
how do you do that?
Ours is 24/7 in that we are storing the sun's energy in batteries underneath the dome when the wind turbine is actually kicking in and moving.
Okay, so you have to have some device, I don't know the right name for it.
Photo eye, how about Malibu Light, just, remanufactured a little bit.
So-
Got a photo eye that recognizes that it's dark outside and the sun's not out.
So if the sun's
And-
not out, then what?
When there is less than the amount of energy to kickstart the wind turbine, it's told by computer to jumpstart it.
Okay, I want to get the programming right in my head. If a scientist would know.
At
what
nighttime,
I-
at nighttime, there is no sun, so therefore you need a photo eye to recognize it's time to turn on the batteries. And the batteries are utilized to kickstart the wind turbine and keep it spinning. It's the hardest, the first push is always the hardest push. If you're pushing a car down the street, it takes 3 guys to move with the first foot, but just, 1 guy can keep it going. And that's what this is. It's a boost to kickstart a wind turbine during the nighttime and during the daytime.
So the batteries, so at night, when the solar cell, or rather when the sensor
Yeah.
tells you there's no sun out there.
Yeah.
Actually, you could use the solar
It's-
cell itself, because if it's not generating any energy, you
Yeah.
know that there's no sun. But anyway, so you're feeding a battery, which I want to ask you about that too. And the battery, what happens when there's no electricity coming from the solar cell? Then the battery is turning the wind turbine. Is that right?
So I'd like to go the opposite direction. When the wind is spinning during the daytime, the power actually is accepted to the batteries. And the batteries are storing the energy anytime that the wind turbine is spinning at a speed we pick on a wind turbine that we decide, how much, makes sense. If it's a kilowatt wind turbine, we have been using about 40 watts of solar cells on our dome. And when the wind turbine actually gets up to a kilowatt of power, then the solar kickstarters shut off, and that is all then deflected over into battery power.
Okay,
That's stored.
so you're using power from the solar cell directly into whatever device you're running, unless, let's see, let me get this right, unless there's no sun.
Okay, so the umbrella with the solar cells on it is not, in this first instance, connected at all electronically to the rest of the wind turbine.
Yeah.
All it does is push it. It gives it the motion. It puts it into spin. And so from the top up, there is a brushless DC motor that goes out to a fixed point on a shaft. And that shaft of the motor is connected by what's called an arbor. And that arbor allows all of the casing in the motor to spin that has the positive and negative that goes off to the solar cells, as well as the positive and negative goes off to the battery source, as well as to the photo eye that tells it when to turn on, when to shut off.
Okay, so at night, what's happening?
At night, the solar cells, you know, people joke when they say, how do you get this thing to run 24/7? Well, you know, the sun isn't shining at night. What happens is, like a Malibu light, it just sends all of the energy to the wind turbine to spin.
Okay, and during the day when both of them are running full steam,
The solar cell stops producing energy for the entire blades and the wings and sending its energy to the lithium battery.
oh, so I understand, so the combination of sources
It's a hybrid
is
system.
running this shaft.
Correct, yeah,
So you get both things pushing it at the same time.
correct.
Wow, so you gotta have some sort of mechanism to take advantage of that, right? So that, for example, the solar electricity doesn't slow it down. It's pushing it a certain, right? Or the wind doesn't slow it down if the solar is generating a lot of power at that moment.
We're sticking to units that are about 1 to 5 kilowatts. And we're matching the amount of solar cells and the power that's generated from the sky above and to the rest of the unit itself. And this has been a question that's come up many times. We're talking with Deloitte and Touche, and they want to know, is it 50-50? You know, how much power is coming from the sun, how much power is coming from the wind? We can actually make it whatever you want. You know, we could have a small amount of solar on top of an umbrella in our Golden Dome, or we could have a small amount of wind. And frankly, this would be narrowed down to an individual specific all the way around the world. Some places are going to be in the Sun Belt, some places are going to be in Antarctica, you know, and you're going to want more wind than you do sun.
So I still think of the one, and we'll show a picture of it in a minute, the one that you sent me,
Yes,
which is vertical with a
Yes.
dome on top.
right.
And
Of the motor is actually coming out of the top, which would be unusual because the shaft of the motor is frozen. And there's an arbor attached to the shaft that goes to that support structure. And by the way, you know, vertical axis wind turbines can be made like kites. There's thousands of different ways these can be made. Our specialty is adding the hybrid solar dome and the solar cells to any vertical axis wind turbine.
get the combination.
It's a combination. They've had a rough go for the last 30 years or so. So we're hoping this renovates and saves that marketplace, as well as the hybrid horizontal wind turbines. You know, they all have a cut-in speed. Sometimes it's, you know, 5, 10, 12 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. But this eliminates that cut-in speed. And there's been studies showing that if you just increase the efficiency by 5%, you increase your profits by 20%. The second notion is, in terms of the resource, if you can take wind and make it go from 5 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, double the wind speed, you cube the power output. So it makes a spectacular difference.
But so, you know, very small cells on that. Is that a
Those
working
are the
model?
Radio Shack, yeah, that's a working model. The
Okay.
Radio Shack 25, they're 1 watts, yeah. And you're right, there could be at least another 20 or more solar cells.
Well, if you put another 20 or more on the top,
Yeah,
you know, covered it, you know, made it flatter, right? Covered it,
you'd be in a spot where there's a lot of sun and very little wind.
so you generate a higher percentage then
Of the solar.
spinning energy
Yes, right.
from the solar.
Yes.
Okay, well, okay. So Beatrice, what's the market like for this?
Well, I mean, I think that this can have an amazing market worldwide. Like I was saying, here we take energy for granted, but in many places that is not the case. So being able to develop these for, you know, many countries that they
So
don't
at the
have.
bottom of this device, there's a wire.
There's
No.
a generator. There's
Well,
a
a
generator,
generator,
to a
but you don't
battery
have-
or to the
Okay,
grid.
But
At
you
the
don't have
bottom
to be
of the
connected to the electric company, you know,
But
necessarily.
at
Yeah.
the bottom of this device, there's a wire that's going to feed
Oh, absolutely. The
electricity
house, the
to wherever you
electricity,
want it.
exactly.
Is it
exactly.
alternating current or direct
Oh, it's
current?
DC, and just so you'll know, my father worked for the electric company for 30 years, so I'm not going to diss the electric company. I think they do a wonderful job, but there are a billion people literally in the world with no electricity. And the low-hanging fruit is probably in Africa, India, China. We could go to these guys and we could put in this system, and that could supply their entire household, their entire warehouse. And the next step, I believe, is just a card swipe where, like pay-per-view TV, you can buy your electricity by a debit card that's issued. And this is the hottest selling ticket in Africa right now. They're just going door to door and selling these things. And we hope to get in on this worldwide.
Well, it's very clever, but it seems to me that the essential protection would be for the relationship between the solar cells and the wind turbine. Okay, it's the algorithm that you use and maybe exactly the way you hook it up. There's probably a lot of ways to do that. What I'm telling you sounds to me like, so if you got really popular in every country, made $1 million, billion, there'd be somebody knocking you off. They'd figure out another way to do precisely the same thing, especially for developing countries.
Well, there's a lot of different approaches. One is that we use a low profile on rooftops. Every rooftop in Hawaii is available to this technology. And we use an outside peripheral gearing, so we could put these one next to another one all the way around the building. We can go upwards, one on top of the other. If we show that vertical axis wind turbine again, you can see that it has an outside peripheral gearing, and we've actually stacked those up 6 high. The first units we made, Jay, were from a junkyard. We used to take hot water heaters that were recycled and cut wings in them. And it's the cheapest way to go, kick the guts out. We started with chain drive, we moved to belt drive, we moved to spinning wheel drives. We've tried a lot of different ways to go about this, cheap and skinny. And this is what we found to be the very best, is the hybrid combination on top with a dome.
Let's see some more pictures. What do we got here to sort of get the flavor of how this works, what it looks like? What is that?
This solar wheel for a bicycle. Now, once again, if they were less expensive at Radio Shack, I'd have 16 more on there, but both sides of the wheel have the solar cells. There's an in-hub, in-wheel motor. And so we send the electricity into the motor, which spins the bicycle on both front and the back. This you're going to see, it's already out, frankly. This guy in Denmark has put one out. There was one at the latest Consumer Electronics show in Canada, and it's spectacular, absolutely spectacular.
Where's the solar cells on it?
The black.
The black,
Oh,
those are solar cells.
so it doesn't have to be facing the sun. It can be vertical.
Well, they're angled like this. It's sort of like a wok, a cooking wok, turned inward. So there's a metal plate that holds the solar cells and attaches to the spokes. And in the center of most electric bikes, the area where the motor goes is actually enlarged. And that's where you put in that in-hub, in-wheel electric motor.
And that's the only device you need. You take that, put it on the fork of the bicycle.
It could be that simple. Some guys have some remote to, some high-tech.
Well, you want to be able to change the speed, and you want to stop it if you need to stop it, I suppose.
You have readouts that go out to little gizmos that look like this that guys put on their handlebars that read how many watts, what you got left.
Can we come in on that and let's see what that looks like? No, what you held.
Oh, it's just a regular phone. This is what
Okay.
guys use.
So it's an app. You have an app then.
Yeah. And, our friends in Denmark are doing this as we speak. They're riding their solar bikes down the street, using our technology, of course. We'll be calling them soon.
Are you selling it to them?
Our model is to franchise and license our products around the world.
So if I come from Sweden, for example.
We have all of the
and
Euro
I can
countries
call
covered.
you, and you'll sell me the technology?
Absolutely.
I'll manufacture the technology, though.
And
then I'll pay you money. I'll send you checks every month. Is that the idea?
we're trying to be a
You
little
get the checks,
a little
Beatriz?
a
You
little
get the
different
checks,
than
she gets the checks.
the Wright brothers. I think they set a fee of $1,000 per each airplane that came out when they first invented the airplane, and it was prohibitive. It actually stopped the trade in airplanes and people building airplanes. So we want to find a really nice low fee that we can license out and franchise and keep these guys building and inventing. But we've got a group in Canada that showed the solar bike at the last show. We've got the group in Denmark that's got a spectacular one. We're trying to actually, ingratiate ourselves to them. And we
How
think
did you
we'll have-
connect up with them in the first place? Did you go over there? Did you write to
Well,
them on the internet? How do you do
trade
that?
show, everybody called us and said, hey, somebody's using your
It's a
technology.
trade show for what? For
Consumer electronics.
electronics.
Yeah, and they're a bicycle that runs off of solar energy that is obviously they were using our patent.
So is this bicycle with that device you showed, we had a picture of a minute ago. This bicycle is going to be better than any electric bicycle otherwise on the
Well,
market.
you take an electric bike, and this can be retrofitted and added to it, or it can be, of course, it's going to be better because it's a hybrid that gives you more hang time. The problem with all these Segways and all these electric bicycles is you only drive them about an hour, so then you got to go back home and plug it into the wall. And that energy is truly energy that's coming from, you know, burning petroleum somewhere.
Is that wheel, does it have a battery in it? Or you have to have another battery
It can,
somewhere
or
else?
you can have a battery. Sometimes they put them between your legs, they put them in the back. Yeah, so.
Okay, so this could be developed differently by different manufacturers, different franchisees.
Some of the rules are that people will say you ride 5% of the time, it sits stationary 95% of the time. That 95% of the time while you're at work or play, that can be charging it up with the solar cells remotely. So that's the key. It gives you more time to enjoy this electric bike that you have without having to go somewhere and plug it in. Same would be true of electric vehicles. We can use our vertical axis wind turbine to provide remote charging for electric cars.
Okay, we'll take another break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to ask Beatriz, how do you market this in third world countries, developing countries? How do you do that when they don't have a web? How do you do that? Door to door. Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's Bill Lee, CEO of SolarMotionCorporation.com, solar-motioncorporation.com. Take a look at it, and you'll see some of these photos, and we have some movie clips too. I think we'll play them when we come back. And Beatriz Rodriguez, she's a scientist at Manoa Japsam. I guess that's not a Manoa, but it's part of Manoa anyway. Yes. The John A. Burns School of Medicine in Kaka'ako. And we're on Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We're talking about new hybrid technology for solar energy. There's a million things out there. We're going places. This is the kind of thing that enriches the whole project, because other people are doing other creative things, and we need a lot of creativity. This is an example. We'll be right back, you'll see.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevlin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance, Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
This is Alice Lee Hagan, host of ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show here at ThinkTech Hawaii is every Thursday from 3 to 4 in the afternoon. I bring in interesting guests from Hawaii, the mainland, and hopefully international guests in the future. Do join us on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. Aloha.
It's a good question.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here with Bill Lee. He's the CEO of solar-motioncorporation.com. And Beatriz Rodriguez, PhD and MD both. Ooh, I got this pain over there. And she's with him in solar-motioncorporation.com. So we have a Twitter question. Is there a market gap for superior, efficient electric stoves and ovens? This is third world, developing world.
Well,
made exclusively of solar energy consumption.
So normally, solar comes off DC 12 volts. And there has been a massive group of product range that have been developed around the world at 12 volts for solar cells. And if United States, you want to double wire your house and put a lot of your products on low LEDs, and you want to double wire so that you can run off of DC voltage. I mean, this is an argument that went back to the time of Edison and Tesla. One was AC, one was DC. And as you know, Edison won out for the AC around.
You could use DC just as well.
But you can use DC just as well. And there is a mass market that's increasing day by day, especially in China and the manufacturing plants, to bring out products that run off of solar cells directly, refrigerators, stoves, the whole works. So,
So any electrical appliance, would be beneficiary to this sort of thing.
yes.
I guess the
And
question is, I'm trying to read the mind
You can
of
up convert or down convert anyway. We can go from, and you can take an inverter and move from DC to AC. So we've got this covered, and it's a growing marketplace.
So I guess the question is, though, does your concept on this contemplate that the device, the patented devices we have on the table, would include an actual, say, oven, would include, say, a water purifier,
Yeah.
a pump, what have you, or are you just delivering electrical power?
Okay, so I think I heard two questions, but one is we don't have any plans to manufacture stoves or refrigerators, but they are available, and they're available that will work on our product either at DC voltage or with an AC converter. Our units strictly put out electricity, and you can then create this electricity in any format that you want. Costco for $100. You get an inverter for what we put out and turn on your stove and everything else.
There's a guy by the name of Will Hartzell.
Uh-huh.
He runs a company called Safe Water Systems. It uses fairly basic plumbing concepts and old-fashioned rooftop solar, out of the 60s. But what it does with a special valve, which he patented, is it purifies water. Okay,
Fantastic.
without any any electricity, and he sells this or gives it away. He's very, common good kind of guy, and he gives this to developing countries, trying to help them, in terms of getting clean water, safe water. So the question is, how do you? And let me add that he goes there. He goes everywhere. He goes to show people how this works, puts it in their villages, whatnot. Okay, now if you're going to use this for developing countries, do you have to go there too? Is there a way to do this? Wait, I'm asking Beatriz.
Oh, well,
We've had Rotary groups contact us, and they're real active in Africa. And what our solar dome will do is it will spin, whereas you have these little playground pumps that kids run in a circle and they pump up water from the ground. Perhaps the frail and the old can't benefit from this because they can't push it. But our solar cell, anytime there's sun, will pump water in any village in the world. And so that's one of the beauties of this thing. You just connect it to, a little sky hook up here, and now you take your playground pump, and you don't have to have any human being pumping it. In fact, one of our commercials, Jay, that we've been talking about is to take an Amish guy with a cart and his horse out there and his family in the cart, and the horse gets away and runs away, and Amish are photovoltaic friendly. He flicks the switch, and our dome photo wheels take this thing off and buzz down the road and catch the horse. We thought that would be our first great commercial on TV.
Yeah, did you do it?
Not yet, not yet.
Well, yeah, of course. But so let me ask you, where are you in the continuum of, we have working models. I assume we saw a picture of one.
They're not up to the level that we'd like to have our prototypes. In fact, that's where we're headed. We're making some final prototypes. We've picked two products, the solar hybrid vertical axis wind turbine and the solar bicycle. I think the solar bicycle, it could be for a rickshaw, it could be, a wheelchair, it could be a Segway, it could be a skateboard, which we've made. There's a lot of different products that this could fall into.
Let's see some more pictures. We have a picture of the skateboard, don't we?
Yeah.
Why don't you describe what we're looking at?
Well, we have another skateboard that actually there's a gal riding on it, and unfortunately, I guess we're not going to see that. But my sons are both skateboarders. They're in college, and seems to be a very popular activity. So we put.
Well, it's very helpful that Beatriz is around. She can help mend their broken bones.
So on another one of our videos on YouTube that I would invite the viewers to go have a look at, there is a gal, and she gets on that unit, and she has connected to her wrist a little rheostat, effectively, that turns the speed up and down, and she rides it, and it's very quiet.
You mean it's not a cell phone?
No, she's using a hardwired stop and
That's the
start.
next stop is the cell phone.
And the great thing is, yeah, I agree with you. The great thing is, this particular gal had never ridden a skateboard in her life. She looks like she could be a pro, but she takes off on the electric skateboard. And it's, you know, there are electric skateboards to begin with. The wheels are much bigger. They have to be. And they're much durable because they have the in-wheel, in-house motors. But they're not petrol guzzling, you know, products like all of our cars and most of the...
Before we finish, I want to see if there's any other videos or clips of any kind. There's one.
Oh, yeah, that's my son. There's our $25 Radio Shack solar cells for 1 watt. He's got a total of 8 watts on this bicycle, and we could probably put another 20 on both sides.
That's coming off the battery or
No,
directly?
that's straight from the sun. That's straight from the sun. He lets go a little brake he has in his hand, and it just takes off and runs. And so that's...
If he puts the brake on, what happens to the power that would be generated by the solar cells?
Nothing, in this particular case, on this particular unit, nothing.
It's dumped.
It's dumped. But if he, you can see how wide this is. We're working on a cymbal-shaped dome. In fact, this gentleman in Denmark, who's a double PhD, that's just created his, made this much thinner. So it actually fits just a little bit fatter than a regular bicycle. But
Will that take your son up a hill?
not on the hill I live on, but a normal hill.
Maybe it's time for you to move.
Yeah, we need to put more solar cells on that particular unit and put them on the back wheel as well. That's just a prototype to prove the point to our investors that it works wonders.
Okay, so we have a website.
Solarmotion.com.
Solar-motion.
Yes, yes.
.com. We have a number of prototypes. I guess we've seen all the notable prototypes
I don't
here.
think we saw the solar frisbee.
Solar Frisbee?
Oh,
If we
that
have a
one?
picture of the solar
Yeah.
Frisbee, that would be good.
That one got 2.6.
This is one of your early inventions. Solar power flying disc by Sunhead.
That's just a joke.
We're
We're all
going to start this from a
That one
dead
got
stop.
White-headed.
2.6
Kick it up.
million
This is
views
the
on YouTube.
solar
No
power
kidding, really?
frisbee
Yeah.
flying
And you
disc.
know, the funny thing
Probably
is
heard all
this is
about
one of
it.
those
It's really
spur of the
taken off,
moment,
a lot
walked
of
out and
fun.
said, hey, would you
Dips,
turn the
dives,
camera on
you
this for a
throw
minute,
it.
let me talk, and did it in 30
And
seconds.
Albert Einstein
Never
never
thought
envisioned
about it, and yet it
anything like
got
this, ladies and gentlemen.
almost 3 million
Combination of
views on
photons,
YouTube.
light,
And,
a spinning disc in your
So
hand,
we've made
and away
probably
we go.
100 of those,
Uh-huh.
and we throw them down at the beach and take them out to tourists and say, hey, try this. And
How does it work?
well, I was a baseball pitcher, and I can tell you, I can hardly throw a Frisbee, but it gives you the spin automatically. You've got the gyro effect, you've got the precision. Underneath there is a propeller or an impeller that blows air down. Later we began making models with holes in them, so it actually suck air through. There's tons of these units out in the model that are RC versions that are called quadcopters that actually fly. But if we had a Frisbee that actually flew away, you'd never see it again. So, you know, Frisbee's a game of catch. It just gives you more hang time, you throw it further, and you have fun with
So
it.
somehow the momentum of this, or the
It spins,
aeronautics of
if
it?
we had it sitting on the table here, it would just be spinning in a circle and levitating. And so it has a propeller that's angled downward, and when you throw it, it's spinning. The solar cell's
propeller is
spinning, and
driving
the
the air
propeller's
down.
spinning at the same time. They're both spinning at the same time.
Have you ever thought that this actually might be useful as a space device?
Absolutely. It'd be tremendous for...
Flying saucers are still possible, you know?
Yes.
We have actually taken alien technology and reversed it out and re-engineered this.
Can you
That's
get a patent on alien technology?
They tell me you can. I think it'd be great. But that's about as close to alien technology as you can get. We just stop people on the beach and we say, hey, will you throw this? And we film it. Stop people on bicycles, hey, throw this. And we had some tremendous results. So we've got about 20 videos of people on YouTube throwing the solar frisbee.
Interesting.
Different ones.
Okay, Beatriz, I'm going to give you a chance to close here. I want you to, see if you can wrap up and
Well-
and tell me the future of the enterprise and the product and where it's going to go in the world.
I think this technology has an amazing future. I think the combination of the solar technology with either wind technology or some of the other products that we saw can have an amazing impact worldwide, whether it is for the development of electricity for homes, especially in rural areas, but I could even see it in the cities as well, where you may be able to scale these things and be able to put them in your house in a way that would look actually nice, which is another aspect that I care about. I want to make sure that the design is nice so that we would like having one
Sure,
of those
like
in our house.
Apple, you want it to be beautiful.
Exactly, it's gonna be beautiful in addition to being, useful. So I think that the market out there is tremendous, and I think this will go very far.
Well, you know, what's interesting to me is that you have pieces of technology that you can buy at Radio Shack. And so, you know, the innovation here, the magic is finding places to apply that technology. And that's, I think, the way I mentioned before, that's the way energy is going to develop, especially solar energy. So you really found something, Bill.
Thank you.
This
Thank
will
you.
go somewhere.
We'd like to see this on every house, on every rooftop through the state and around the world.
Bill Lee, William Lee, CEO, solar-motioncorporation.com, and Beatriz Rodriguez, a scientist, engaged with him in this company. Here on Hawaii, the state of energy, new hybrid technology for solar energy on ThinkTech Hawaii. Thanks very much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Good job,
That
sir.
was fun.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so very
Jay.
much.